been a while, hasn't it? One of the most daunting tasks that a band or any artist can do is to change their sound. The change can either be welcomed with open arms by the fans, or can completely alienate them, leading to speculation that the band has sold out. To an extent, Favorite Drive's second album, Can't Keep a Secret, was no exception to this rule. The band opted to step away from the edge they'd had with their first album to go for a more commercially acceptable pop sound that would get them more radio plays and sales. The question Favorite Drive fans were asking themselves at this point was, did it help the band more than it hindered them? Well, let's dive in and find out. For one thing, the album barely peaked inside the Canadian Albums Chart's top 40, once again receiving mixed reviews from the critics. But the sudden change to emulate the more popular artists in the Canadian music scene at the time, which focused more on synthesizers and auto-tune, which happened to be a huge pet peeve of mine at the time, may not have sat well with some fans. Hell, when I listened to the album's first two singles, Get Up and Dance and Give 'Em Up, I had trouble sitting through them due to the sheer prominence of synth right off the bat. Now, admittedly, I quickly got over the change and enjoyed Get Up and Dance for what it was, a fun party track, and eventually Give 'Em Up grew on me as well, but that one seemed more out of dedication to the band rather than enjoying it as a single. Now, that's not to say that the Favorite Drive of old was completely dead and buried, as was clearly evident with their third single, You and I Tonight. The lyrics in this song have that same personal feeling that was seen throughout the first album, and even the video itself has the same elements of the video for Tongue Tied. Heartbreak, reconciliation, and even as Favorite puts it,
Favorite Drive performing in a sexy rainstorm.
Oddly enough, out of all the singles, this one is probably the best, as it does invoke that same intimacy as those sappy-ass power ballads that got me into Favorite Drive in the first place. But it's not the best song on the album, nor is it my favorite. That one goes to a song Faber wrote about his dad. While the song does kind of fall into the same trap that Sleepless Nights, the fourth single from their last album, did, in that it sounds like a love song, I personally feel like it still works for this. While it is easy to misinterpret the lyrics,
I'll be right here by your side if you should awake into the night. Keep dreaming, 'cause I'll be keeping your heart in mine. Don't you know I'll always be even in the hardest time. Don't you know
it's still a beautifully written song about remembering a loved one. Whether it's the death of a family member, the ending of a relationship, or even the loss of a pet, it's easy for anyone who's experienced any kind of loss to relate to this. And with that, we come to the final verdict. Overall, this is a pretty damn decent album, and I am one of the fans that feels like the change in sound did help them more than it hurt. Okay, yeah, it's really obvious that the change in sound came solely to appeal to a more mainstream audience, but that really doesn't bother me that much. I'll be honest, while it did take time for the new sound to grow on me, I still enjoy listening to this album from time to time, but I'm a little more than hesitant to give this album a full recommendation. Don't get me wrong, I still think you should buy it, but I also feel like you should test the waters and grab a few songs off of iTunes first. Obviously, the album's singles, Get Up and Dance, Give Him Up, You and I Tonight, and The Payoff are a decent place to start. However, I feel like there are 3 songs that you should also check out that, in my humble opinion, are head and shoulders above those 4 singles. These songs would be By Your Side, Lucky Ones, and their cover of the Cars song, Just What I Needed. Can't Keep a Secret is available on iTunes as well as Amazon. For alternate recommendations, I'd still recommend Simple Plan, much to the grounds of my fan base, as well as Baltimore rockers All Time Low and French-Canadian synth-pop group The New Cities. I'm Kira Kennedy, and this was Lost in Stereo. Next time we'll wrap up this little Favorite Drive retrospective with what is their most recent release at the time of this recording, Lost in Paradise.
You look so fancy, I can tell. I don't mind
butter disaster.